What is up, YouTube family? This is Mike G, and you are back on the other side. I'm bringing you an amazing interview tonight with an all time arm wrestling GOAT, 36-time national champion, and 23-time world champion arm wrestler, Monster Michael Todd. Hello, Michael. How are you doing tonight?
I'm well, sir. Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on the channel today. Like yourself, I'm an Arkansas boy. There's not a lot of us out there, but there's a few. How does someone growing up in Arkansas get exposed to arm wrestling at a young age? It never happened in my elementary that I remember.
Oh wow, I didn't. Okay, I thought it happened to everybody. So I always used to just arm wrestle my father when I was a kid. Like I remember him having his arm on the armrest, and I'd go up and grab him. I'm talking about when I was a little kid. But my grandmother was like 4'11", hard working lady.
Hmm.
I remember being 14 years old. She could beat me in arm wrestling and outrun me in a 40-yard dash with grandma shoes. Like she was a beast, man. And I, honest to God, I remember like her and my father arm wrestling like when he was probably early 40s. And I mean, like, and he was a 6'1", 200+ pound guy. She was, like I said, 4'11".
Right.
She could stand him up pretty well, right? Make him work real hard. So I just always liked arm wrestling, and that's pretty much how I got into it. I played a few sports when I was like pee wee stuff, little league stuff like
Sure.
that. But then I didn't really like team sports that much. I saw Karate Kid, and I started taking. I said I got to take karate, so I started taking karate, and then went Shotokan karate, and then turned into taekwondo. Got a black belt in taekwondo when I was 14, and then did that for a while, and then some Thai boxing. So I always thought I was going to be like the Van Damme, because that's who was popular back when I was a kid. So I thought I was going to be this action
Yeah.
movie star, and then arm wrestling just kind of took over my senior year.
Just worked out that way.
Right.
There's a whole generation of men in this country that wouldn't be where we were today if it wasn't for blood sport.
Of course, right? Who doesn't want to take part in the kumite, right?
Did you ever try and do the splits? I tried that once.
Oh, I used to could do the splits real well. When I used to do the splits up against the wall. When I was a black belt, I was very, very proficient.
Whew.
I was 14 years old, fought in the adult class, trained with adult classes, and anything I saw in movies, I would try to replicate. Like the Bruce Lee. I would have told you the movie, but it's where he holds out the board, punches and breaks it, and Bruce Lee's like board no hit back. Enter the Dragon, I guess it was.
Yeah, Enter the
Um,
Dragon.
I immediately went home, got a board, held out in front of me, punched it, snapped it, and then I could teach my friends how to do it because it really was just a speed break. But yeah, I
Sure.
did all that stuff. Then I went and saw Jeff Speakman, The Perfect Weapon. On the way home from there, I just started punching through bricks, and I didn't have breaking bricks. I had actually house bricks, and I was
Oh,
slicing my forearms up, punching through
yeah.
house bricks, just stupid stuff.
Other than family members, who was the very first arm wrestling match you ever had? Was it somebody in school?
Man, it might have been a good friend of mine, Stacy Glasgow. He started arm wrestling when we got serious, and he won a few state titles. He was pretty proficient. He was a 132-pound kid, 143 hard working hay hauler. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, he might have been my first. It might have been Chad Newell, a guy who was the a drummer in school. Back then, I was an inside puller, turned it right into a hook, and he had super strong wrists from drumming. It was really hard to hook him. Um, so he was always real strong. Those are the top kids in my school, probably other than me. We had a couple arms.
Awesome.
Two guys get their arms broke at our school.
Ooh.
Arm wrestling, yeah. So it was everybody arm wrestled.
Mm. What would you say would be the beginning of your career as far as knowing that you could make a living doing it, that you could be a world champion one day?
Well, I don't know if there's a defining moment that told me I could make a living at it or become a world champion. But what I was is my senior year in high school, I could beat everybody in school. I did English driver's ed in Botech, and I was at Botech. They said that guy over there is second in the state, so we got on the cafeteria table and I beat him. He was like, "You should go to this tournament," and it was that weekend. It was a Sling County Fair, 1990 Sling County Fair, and I went down there. I took third in the 200-pound class. Pissed about it. Came home, built a table, started holding tournaments at the boys' club, and it just took off from there.
That's awesome. Um, Arm Wars. That's a big show, right? That's considered the big leagues.
It was. It's not as big a deal anymore. Next tier down from the top guys most of the time. Devin shows everywhere, so you get a few elites, but mainly it's giving these guys a shot at their because. But Arm Wars back in the day was a Premier League.
Hmm.
So I guess my first exposure to Arm Wars was 2008. My first inaugural event was in Manchester, England, Trafford Center, and I went over there and I pulled the Battleground series. And my father had passed away March 19th, and this was May. So it was an emotional event for me, and I pretty much went through there, did what nobody thought was possible, won right and left, undefeated, and that was one of those kind of did it for my dad type things.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm guessing. I I may have already tried to ask this once. What was the? You said there wasn't a specific moment that you knew you could be world champion
I just from the very beginning,
from
I
the
don't do
very
anything.
beginning.
Everything I do to try to be the best at. And it's never the biggest thing is I've never thought I was better than anybody, but I've always thought I was as good. Like
Sure,
somebody does it, then I feel like I can do it, right? So for me, I just thought, I want to be the best version of me possible. And then I also thought the best version of me possible could potentially be the best there is. So
gotcha.
that's just how I've always approached it. Never even considered being like overall top number one in the world guy. World champion was obviously a thing, but world champion means a lot of different things. Be the world champion in your weight category, world champion in your weight category and age category. I mean, there's world champions crowned every year who wouldn't
Sure.
even make the top 1,000 best arm wrestlers in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of weight classes and whatever. But as I got more proficient and better and bigger and stronger, because I used to be a 198-pound guy. I graduated high school at 215. But I did my first national championship at 176 at 6'3". I had worked at Acme Brick, and I was hacking brick next to 130 some degree keel. With 130 some degrees was the temperature outside the keels, and
Mm,
I dropped like 30 pounds, working there.
I'm
So my first
sure.
national championships was 176. Once I became a bigger, larger person, still have the same frame I did as graduate high school. Things have just gotten bigger. Like I wore a size 12. My senior ring was a 12. Now I wear a 16. I used to could touch my fingers together around my wrists. Now I can't. I'm 2 inches from touching them. My wrist is 9 inches, over 9 inches around. Tendons, ligaments, just stuff like that have grown and gotten stronger. Bones become more dense.
Right.
But yeah, so at some point in there, it just became something. Like I never was a guy. I was an arm wrestler who lifted weights. I liked lifting weights. I liked,
Okay.
the appearance of bodybuilding and stuff like that. But I didn't know that I was ever going to bench over 500 pounds until I
Sure.
did, you know, and I was, just kept going up, kept going up, kept getting stronger. And then all those things just kind of translated me being a bigger, stronger arm wrestler. I don't have that big a bench now because I've torn my pec and all kinds of stuff. But
Mhm.
I think with this run at overall number one in the world again and not restricting my calories for the next 12 to 24 months, I think I could be as strong as I've ever been on every lift I've ever done. You know,
Right.
I'm really embracing the unrestricted caloric intake. I know we're off topic right now, but
No, you're okay.
I've recently decided to no longer restrict my caloric intake, and that doesn't mean just eat senselessly. It just means
Right.
don't go to bed hungry. I've been going to bed hungry for a very long time, right, with the exception of cheat days. Um, I feel like anytime you put a restriction on your caloric intake, you put a ceiling on how strong you can be. And I'm gonna remove that ceiling and let my body fulfill its potential. I think I'm truly blessed. Um, God gave me an ability and a will to endure, to work, to suffer, right? Like to do the work. It's not hard for me to do the work. The work just has to be done. It's the
Hmm.
job, right? And because of that, I think he's got, this comeback's very important to me. I think a lot of people are watching. And I mean, we'll talk about that here. Your viewers may not know about the comeback, but the comeback is a big deal. But we'll get into that when you're ready.
Gotcha. I read a story. I don't know how much of it is accurate about a man named Neil giving you your nickname. Can
Right.
you tell us about that? How did you get the nickname?
So Neil Pickup is the promoter, president, CEO, whatever of Arm Wars, right?
Hmm.
But he's also an announcer and all that stuff. Well, in 2006, we were at Circus for the National Arm Wrestling League at the Mr. Olympia contest, and people had only seen me at various weights. Like, remember, I used to be smaller, or whatever, and we were sharing a room, and I came out of the shower, I had a towel around me, and I was 250 and had abs, and this is the biggest anyone had ever seen me. And I walk out, and he's on the phone with somebody from the UK, and he's like, "Oh my God, Michael Todd's a monster." And the next day, he introduced me as Monster Michael Todd. So that's how it went.
Nice. Um, Where about in your career did you start experiencing the elbow problems?
I mean,
The whole time
1991. You know what I'm saying? Like,
since the
uh,
beginning?
I remember having a spring that I used to pull against, and it was had to my bench, had weight on the bench, and I'd get on the end and I just smash it. And then I had another bench that was a decline that really I used as
Mhm.
an incline. And I got down here at the very end of it, halfway through it. And because instead of pinning because a pin pad or forearm, because this is wrist wrestling back there, you pin your forearm, pin the pin pad.
Mhm.
So I was pinning twice as far as you have to because I was pinning to the decline part of the bench.
Right.
And I was smashing and smashed this and I smashed it and I let it up when it came back. It messed my tendon up, and medial epicondylitis, whatever it was back then, chronic elbow pain, just all that stuff. And then throughout the years, I didn't have insurance for like the first 10 plus years. So I did all kinds of damage to my arms. And my buddies were like, yeah, I had this happen. I had this happen. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure I
Mhm.
have all that. I just don't have insurance. So I'm not going to check it out. And then down the road, we found out all the injuries I actually did have. And it was a lot.
Yeah, I read about it. Some of it I can't even pronounce. Um, those elbow problems. You started your career in I guess one style of arm wrestling. What was it called? The
Yeah,
shoulder
shoulder
roll.
press, shoulder
Yeah,
press, mate, shoulder roll, shoulder press. I mean, anything hook related, redneck arm wrestling, basically how you get on the hood of a truck or picnic table or a desk and just try to pin your buddy. That's
right.
what I was real strong at.
Gotcha. The I got exposed to you first in the World Arm Wrestling League. Um, I didn't know about the shoulder roll until after the fact. So my first exposure to you was the King's move.
Right.
Um, I've read stories. Some people didn't like it. Some people didn't care. Just between you and me, because I doubt anyone watching is aware of this. If no ref ever had a problem with it, why should anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. People try to go back and talk about my win against Devin and WAL. It was an illegal move. Refs should have called it. It wasn't an illegal move then. It's only become illegal after the fact. It's
Sure.
like trying to say, okay, you filed your taxes, 8 years ago,
Yeah.
but now it's a violation of today's taxes, so we can go back and penalize you. That's not how it
Yeah.
works. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
within the rules, I've always arm wrestled within the rules. They just changed
Hmm.
the rules out of the fact that social media pressure and it's cheating,
Sure.
it's cheating, and so listen, it's all good. I always just arm. You tell me what the rules are. I arm wrestle within the rules. The reason the Kings move are way before me. I'm just the one that had the most notable wins and the most,
Hmm.
you know, most popular guy to use it, probably, right?
Yeah.
When I say popular, meaning well known, not necessarily that people like me, but so it just my left elbow blew apart in 2010. Doctor misdiagnosed me, said I had a muscle tear. I actually had a
Hmm.
partially torn ligament. I went into a world title defense in London, drove in round one, got in perfect positions, wooing at the camera, and backed off my shoulder and pow. Medial ligament ripped off the bone, flexor mass rolled up the forearm, my elbow dislocated about 6 inches. Um, because of that, I was in a sling, had Tommy John surgery on my elbow. Well, I could no longer pull my free hand to do the inside hook and stuff that I wanted to do.
Hmm.
So I started pushing. I just started applying a lot of back pressure. Well, that's where my outside arm wrestling started, and then the dropping of the shoulder because when they went to repair my left elbow, I asked them to go ahead and X-ray my right arm because, like I said, I didn't have insurance for a long time. And once they X-rayed it, they came back and said, "I've never seen an X-ray like that. You have over 70 fractures that I identified in your arm. You have what I
Wow.
think a 200-year-old man's elbow should look like. You don't have a functioning joint." I'm like, cool, I'm going to keep competing. So, because of that, I'd lost a lot of range of motion. My hand wouldn't come
Sure.
any closer than this. Well, my left hand would come over to here. So if I wanted to height left hand, I just pull it to me. If I wanted to height right
Hmm.
hand, I had to drop my shoulder down to get my knuckle higher. That's just how I created height. And
Right.
that's how the evolution of my King's move started.
When I was reading about, I don't know what you want to call it, people complaining about the King's move, it almost sounded to me. I'm a huge MMA fan, and in my mind, I related it to, if the athletic commission decides to change a rule, which they just did involving elbows. Next year, are you going to complain that you lost because you get hit with an elbow? It's the rule. If you don't like the rule, beat it. you know.
Right.
Um, let's see here. WAL 406, the Monster versus Devin. Tell us about that match, sir.
Yeah, so I was the Ultimate Arm Wrestling League world champion, both right and left handed, and WAL came around. Well, I was contracted to UAL. UAL was promising Fox Sports big contracts.
Wow.
Problem was, the owner of the UAL, was a very successful person. He didn't like being talked down to, so he kind of had words with them. Well, they decided they didn't need arm wrestling, right? So I'm over there watching arm wrestling come on ESPN and watching people that I beat be on ESPN winning, right?
Hmm.
So I was like, dang, that sucks. Well, then I got recruited in 2017 by the WAL after UAL basically said, hey, we're not going to compete with these guys. So I came over to WAL and ended up winning the 2017 uh, WAL finals, which was a tournament format. It was a seeded event, and I wasn't seeded. So I ended up beating the top three seeds to go on to be the WAL champion. Well, that's the super heavyweight division. Devin was the 225-pound champion, 16 and 17, and right-handed, and 14, 15, 16, 17 left-handed. Well, they went away, came back, changed the format in 18. It's just a super match division. It's only right-handed. Well, they
Okay.
got rid of the 225 class and combined the heavyweights with the super heavyweights. By doing so, people were just saying that Devin was the uncrowned champ. I'm like, guys, I'm the super heavyweight champ. He's got to come take it from me. This isn't a weight class. There's not a weight
Yeah.
cap. Um, so I'm the champion. Well, going into that, I had felt like I was being disrespected, and I was going to prove that I was the guy. And we went to war. And Devin talked a lot of smack. We were friends. He called me. I was like, "Hey, what's off limits?" And I'm like, "Same thing about my mom or wife. One of us is going to die." He's like, "All right, cool. So no mom, no wife." I'm like, "Yeah." Um, and then we got there. We meet up. Everything's cool. We commenced to you know Devin's very mental, and he starts playing his mental games, talking about how he's got my hand beat, he's got my shoulder beat, he's got everything. I got no
Sure.
chance. I just sit there and listen and listen and listen, and then we get into the match. And it's funny. You go back and watch it. Watch it from this perspective. Whose corner are they filming the entire time? Always Devin's.
Hmm.
They're never filming mine because they expect Devin to win. They only know Devin. They don't really know me yet,
Right.
right? They've seen me in a couple events, but they don't really know. So that they had this whole story written in their minds. So they filmed Devin's side, and Devin's going to be the victor. Well, he wins round one. I win round two. He wins round three, but I look over at him and he's gassed. Took everything he had to pin me round three, and I'm still breathing
Hmm.
just fine. So I played a lot of middle games. We got a minute and a half in between each rounds, and I'm over there going, "How are you still sitting down? It's only been 30 seconds." Well, he's the alpha, right? So he's got to get up. He's got to respond to
Sure.
that call out. So he gets back up there, and we're jockeying back and forth, and I flash pin him probably the fastest pin in the WL in a shoulder press. He
Hmm.
keeps pulling. I'm like, "It's over, buddy." And I'm like, "I thought you had my hand beat. I thought you had my shoulder beat. You ain't got shit." Like it was very raw
Giving
emotion
it
between me
back.
and Devin, right? So now it's 2-2, and now we go into round five, and it's all everything he had, right? So I was wanting Devin to quit because he makes his opponents quit. We're so deep in this match, 2.5 minutes in, and I'm like, if I don't pin this guy, I'm gonna end up wearing out, right? So I made the right adjustments, came around, pinned him, and I was, defending my super heavyweight title. Then I did was not prepared for the hate that was coming. I thought I'm going to get all the views and all the love because he had gotten those opportunities to
Yeah.
be with Thor and get the 20 plus million view videos, and he got to be with Shaq and get the 20 plus million view videos.
Hmm.
I'm like, all right, cool. Now it's my time. Well, it didn't work
Yeah.
that way. He had already developed such a large following, almost like a troll um,
Troll
following
army.
that, yeah, a troll army that I just got attacked, right? Instead of getting, celebrated for victory, I was hated for beating the champ, right?
Yeah.
So just something I ended up dealing with, and then came back in 2019. There had been two people who had won two right-handed super heavyweight titles. Dave Chafee won 14-15. Travis Bajan won 16. I won 17-18. So my first match of the 2019 series was Dave Chafee, and the winner of that match was going to be the super heavyweight champion and
Hmm.
have three WL super heavyweight right-handed hammers. So I went into that very well prepared. Ended up beating Dave 3-0, and was actually scheduled to pull Matt Mask 1 month later when Devin was scheduled to pull Dave. Well, after I beat Dave so convincingly, they said, "Man, you're too strong to pull Matt, so we still want to fly you out." But that was a pay cut, man. I had an appearance fee and win bonus and stuff I wasn't going to get, but they wanted me out there anyway, sign autographs, whatever. So I get out there, and a good friend of mine, Kenny Johnson, who plays Luca on SWAT. He's an amateur world champion.
Hmm.
He's like, "Hey man, come hang out on the set," because normally that day I would be, resting and prepping for the match, but
Hmm.
my day was free, so I went and hung out on the set of SWAT. Introduced me to the cast, introduced me to everybody, and then the producers, and they're like, "Are you Zuma?" And I don't know what the heck they're talking about. My wife realizes they're talking about a character. She's like, "Just
Okay.
say you're Zuma, right?" So we're going from there to Vegas to celebrate our anniversary. But Rebecca's like, "We'll cut our anniversary short. They want you to come back and work." So I came back the next 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the following week, and was on season 3, episode 2 of SWAT. So I ended up making more money from having a role on SWAT than I would have made for the Matt Mass match. So God had planned it, all worked out. But
There you go.
yeah, that's how things worked. And then I defended the title again versus Jerry later that year. So I was 17, 18, 19 WAL champ. Dev and I were supposed to kick off the inaugural season 2020, and then COVID happened, and you didn't see that match in the WL again.
Right. You know, I a lot of my early viewing of WAL, for example, and then later on other arm wrestling leagues, a lot of that came on TV during the pandemic. Is that strange that it kind of popularity boomed with something that's so terrible? If that
Yeah,
makes
so
any
there were no
sense.
live sports. There were no live
Yeah.
sports. You couldn't gather, right? So
Yeah.
people went to YouTube. They found arm wrestling. They started re-airing some
Hmm.
events. Like all the WLs got re-aired on Fox Sports One.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of exposure from that. I actually had a Monster Grass, an artificial grass company, contact me and said, "Hey, Monster Mike Todd, Monster Grass, we want to partner up." And at that time, I was adding an addition to my gym, and I was looking for flooring. So they came up here from Miami, during COVID, got away
Oh
from stuff,
yeah.
came up here and put in about $10,000 worth of commercial AstroTurf. So made that new addition real nice. So all worked out, man. Good stuff.
um, Tell me about the Monster Factory. I can see the logo behind you there. What all happens there?
So originally it was the space that we had with the when we just did the addition in 2020 with the AstroTurf and everything. And we're talking about what to call it, whatever. It's just my gym, it's my home gym. And then somebody said that they're serious down there at the Monster Factory, and that stuck. I was like, oh, I like that. So we went ahead and created the Monster Factory with the tagline of "Where Monsters Become Real," right? And that's where we started holding live Monster Factory arm wrestling events. That went well in 2022, I guess it was. We had John Brzezinski pull Corey West, me pull Todd Hutchins. That was the most watched arm wrestling event since COVID at that time, um, because we released it for free and
Hmm.
had millions of views on it, so it was really good for the platform. Then we just kept going with that. 2023, I blew the bicep, couldn't train for 13 weeks. So instead of letting myself get deep into depression, I thought, here's another project. I'll try to raise $250,000, and I'll build another 5,000 square foot addition to the existing 2,000 square foot space with the intention of obviously live events. That's the stage back there, staircases from both sides where athletes come down. But its main purpose was going to be a social media influencer collaboration challenge center.
Okay.
Well, there's been some delays. Construction's not complete yet, so I haven't been able to have my first collaboration, which is really, it's been 8 months. It's 8 months behind. It's supposed to be done in December, right? So it's really it's made things kind of tight here because we couldn't benefit from collaborations, couldn't benefit from the sponsors from showcasing these
Right.
collaborations, which would make other brands want to come be a part of what we're doing. So it's an awesome thing, but right now it's kind of it's delayed, right? So we still have a very big vision for it. It's just we got to get this construction finished.
Right. That sounds like most construction behind.
Right, right,
um,
right.
this is odd to say to another grown man, but you and your wife are the cutest couple I've seen in a long time. Tell us about Rebecca.
Man, funny thing is, we were that Saline County Fair in 1990 where I did my first wrist wrestling event.
Hmm.
She was there at a cheerleading competition,
Okay.
but it took us another 21 years to meet. We didn't meet till we were 38 years old.
Wow.
And yeah, so the funny thing is, I went to Magnet Cove. She went to Bryant. Her parents almost moved to Magnet Cove in ninth grade, which we would have met then. Like there's several
Yeah.
things that our life could have met sooner, right? What happened was, when you're a kid and you have that giddy love,
Hmm.
but then as you become an adult, you really don't find that same time. I mean, it's just different, right? Like
Yeah.
first love stuff, all
Exactly.
that stuff's different. When I met Rebecca, it was like giddy love. It's like it was something I couldn't explain. I found my best friend. It took me 38 years to find my best friend. I've turned down so many guy trips and opportunities to do really cool stuff because I don't want to live my life without my best friend. We've never been apart more than 9 hours in
Wow.
13 years. You know, she's, with the exception, she did go back to work as a labor delivery nurse during COVID, and she had to work night shifts. And I would take her to work and bring her in. And people are like, "Why do you take your wife to work?" I'm like, "Well, because I'm going to be asleep if I don't, because she leaves so early, and either she's going to go there and it's going to be dark, or she's going to get off and it's going to be dark, and I'm not having my wife walk to her car in the dark."
Right.
So if I can take her to work, I'm gonna take her to work, right?
Absolutely.
And then COVID really drained her to see the level of care that the patients were unable to get because you know because of the pandemic and stuff. It just took a toll on her. We decided to go full time with social media. We just went to Juju Mufus, just went to Larry Wills. Larry said, "Hey, would you come move to Dubai?" So we made the decision, packed up, moved my son into our house, and we moved to Dubai for nearly 2 months. Um, Once we came back, raised about 100 grand, got an RV, did a nationwide tour, traveled around the United States, 20,000 miles in 5 months, arm wrestled over 3,000 matches, filmed everything. And then at that point, we
Wow.
had developed a brand that we knew that was, good enough to get sponsors and brand deals and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
2022, 2023, we did about 200 million views across all platforms. So doing pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But yeah, she's my
Um,
best friend, man. I don't want to see a sunset without seeing it with her. I don't want to hear a joke without hearing her laugh. I mean, we're 24/7. So it's, yes, we fight and we argue, but we wouldn't have it any other way because I mean, I'm not promised tomorrow. I'm not gonna go.
right.
We met in a way to where we did network marketing together when we got together. So we didn't meet where she had a job and I had a job. We went to work, whatever. We did
Yeah.
network marketing. So we did it together as a team. We moved to Hot Springs, started my personal training business, did it together as a team. Um, it's just how our relationship started, and that's what makes it make so much sense to us. I mean, obviously, if we'd have met years ago and both in school, or she had this, she'd probably still have her. She'd have girlfriends, I'd have guy friends. And I have
Right.
buddies and stuff, but they know when they come here, you know, Rebecca's out here with me or whatever. Like I don't. Rarely do I go just unless somebody needs me to help with something.
Sure.
And rarely does Rebecca drive anywhere. Like today, she had to go. She went and visit her mom because her mom was the next town over to get her hair done and visiting some family. And I was in the middle of my training. Today's training was very important. I only have 3 more days after today, so I was like, "You have to go by yourself." But rarely do we do that.
Gotcha. I think I've told you before that my wife and I follow all of Rebecca's gardening and baking stuff. Does she do any exotic fruits or vegetables or anything like that?
Not yet, man. She just got started. That she's amazing at. She did it. She's doing a video that she's filmed today that she'll be releasing probably in a week or two with her sourdough starter. She made scones, blueberry scones. Oh my god. Yeah, bro. I mean, she's killed every single person. Like she's been, doing pickles and bread and butter pickles and spicy. And people are like, "My God, those are the best. I'll pay $20 for the jar of those pickles." Like, I mean, she is killing it. I mean, it's just for her because she is a labor delivery nurse and she does have that nurturing. She's
Mhm.
a grandmother. We got 5 grandkids, but she just has when she gets to care for something and develop something, it really means it helps her out a lot. So it makes me happy to see her happy.
Yeah, it's awesome. I asked that question. I was introduced to I don't know if you call it a new vegetable. I'll be 45 in a few days, and I've never heard of it before. It's called a lemon cucumber. Have you ever heard of one of these?
I'm not familiar, but she probably has done enough research, so she probably knows what it is.
It looks like it's about the size of a racquetball, and it's yellow. But you cut it open, and it's just like a cucumber. It's the oddest thing ever. Have
Oh
her check
wow, okay.
it
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
All right. This is a very important question. Pulled pork or brisket?
I used to would have said pulled pork, but we had a brisket back probably 4, 5, 6 months ago, and my God, it was amazing. So,
Mm-hmm.
and my buddy owns a restaurant here in town, and we had a brisket mac and cheese the other day, a couple
Oh
couple
yeah.
weeks ago. Because now since I'm going super heavyweights, we get a cheat meal a week, and
Mm-hmm.
we had that. So I used to would have been pulled pork up until probably 6 months ago. I've been pulled pork, but I would have to go brisket now.
If you get that chopped brisket or burnt ends on the mac and cheese, have them throw a pinch of pico de gallo on it. You'll thank me later. It's
For
awesome.
real, huh? All
Yeah,
right.
that's where it's at. What is the hardest match of your career, Or
Man,
what was the hardest
hardest
match?
match has to be anything. One of those matches with Jerry Caderet, like round two, 7 minutes. My hand broke because of the strap. Is a normally the strap's 1 inch thick. This is about
Mm-hmm.
3/4 inch something. Broke this
Mm,
metacarpal here. Couldn't feel anything. I mean, just that it wouldn't allow me to transition behind it. Multiple fouls in the match. Yeah, that's probably my hardest. Crazy match. It pulled him again in 2019. Same thing happened again. Refractured the same part of the hand because they had the same strap. And that's when we came out. It's crazy, insane match. He intentionally fouls in round four. When he does, it makes my elbow foul. So he just gets a foul instead of a match stoppage. He ends up fouling again in round five. We're in a war, almost completely out of the strap. And I was prepared for it. So he did it the round before. He just was able to knock my elbow off when he did. Well, this time when he
mm-hmm.
pushed to try to shove me off, his elbow's a foot in the air and mine's still on the table. And I'm like, listen, you got to set his elbow back down. You can't get out of the match, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So they tried to say this match isn't going to end this way. And I'm like, well, the rule says if he doesn't put his elbow back down, it's the second foul. He already had one, so that's 3 fouls. I win. And I got a lot of crap for that. I'm like, guys, listen, there was $15,000 to win that match.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just going to give you a free shot. Oh, we'll run it back. No, dude, you just lost. You gave up in the middle of the match. You gave up. You quit, and you
Mm-hmm.
want to be rewarded for it. Now, if they just said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you're the champ, Mike, or here's another $5,000 to pull one more round, I would have happily pulled one more round, even with the broken hand. But
Mm-hmm.
this whole sportsmanship and whatever, I mean, they gave me all kinds of crap. I'm like, dude, I counted that money as soon as I got the match. As soon as they told me the match was happening, I already expected that money and already had to spend.
Yeah.
Once I won it, there was not going to be a redo. You know,
How does um how does the pay structure in professional arm wrestling work?
there's no telling, bro. Like, there's
They
me,
just call
Devin,
you, say, "I
Levon, and
want you to
probably
do
John
this."
Brzee could probably have the biggest paydays of anybody.
Yeah.
After that, it just depends. Like right now, East versus West probably has the best pay of any league ever. Um, but they're also probably the most pay-per-view bought events ever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Arm wrestling still is not enough. Like I might, if I had 5 or 6 matches in a year, I might would make enough to pay the bills. You know?
Oh wow.
Yeah. But I mean, very few people. You know, social media. I mean, Devin gets good paydays now, so I'm sure he could live off just his pay. His Devin could live off his pay. Levon could probably live off his pay. John Brzink still gets good pays and he gets good appearance fees and stuff like that. So, you know, there's if you count appearance fees and seminars and shit like that, like if I want to be full time, I mean, that was my own sole source of income.
Right.
It would be tight though. It'd be tight. Like I wouldn't be able to have the freedom that I have because of, you know, what we've done with social media and stuff like that.
Right. I'm sure in your career you've been given tons of good advice by wonderful arm wrestlers. If you had to pick one bit of advice that was given to you by someone that was the most important bit you were ever given, what would that advice been, and who gave it to you?
Well, don't really have anything other than the thing I would have was a statement made by John Brzink.
Okay.
I was arm wrestling Ron Bath. John Brzink and Ron Bath both talked. They said if Michael Todd's hand and wrist ever catch his arm, we're all screwed. So years ago, my arm was really strong, and although people told me I should train my hand and wrist, I neglected it. I just liked lifting so much, and I didn't like that
Hmm.
specific movement stuff. I didn't really train my hand and wrist. If I would have put the efforts into my hand and wrist early, uh, I could even had a more successful career than I've already had. So I'm a little late to the game with training the hand and wrist, but now I'd say my hand and wrist is close to as strong as my arm. My arm's probably not quite as strong as it was back in those days, but I think I'm
Right.
about six. I feel like between now and the end of this year, I will be the strongest I've ever been across the board, and especially with arm wrestling specific movements. So, you know, like I said, so the thing we haven't really touched on is my bicep blew off the bone February 25th last year.
Oh
Had
no.
major surgery March 3rd. Everyone who'd looked at my elbow for years because of all the fractures said the most we could do would be an elbow replacement. Wouldn't be able to lift over 30 pounds. I'm like, well, that's no life. I'll never do that. Bicep blew off the bone. Found an amazing surgeon who I did not realize how big a deal he was. The day after my surgery, he FaceTimed Shaquille O'Neal. So like he was a surgeon of the stars, right? Big time
Wow.
celebrity. And he looks at my elbow. He's like, "Yeah, dude, your surface of your osteophytes, which are all the fractures and the bone that's formed from the fractures, is like a coral reef, and it's just sawing away on your tendon every time you use your biceps. So my
Hmm.
bicep didn't just rip off the bone and spread it north to south. He's like, I can go and repair that. We're going to resuture it, retuberalize it, reattach it, but I got to take that bone out. I'm like, well, I didn't think they could. He goes, I can take it out. He thought it was going to be a 2 hour surgery, ended up being a 4.5 hour surgery. So he didn't get to do anything around the back part of the elbow, which still had osteophytes on it. but he gave me a lot more range of motion from my fist to my shoulder. Used to it wouldn't come past here, now it comes to here, right?
Right.
It can come all the way back to here. And then he went ahead and scraped away my ulnar nerve because I hadn't felt these two fingers since 2007 because of compressed ulnar
Hmm.
nerve. So he scraped that away. I did everything the doctor said, followed protocol exactly. Very blessed to have Vitacell Global as a stem cell sponsor. They took really good care of me. Multiple six figures worth of stem cells, right? So that right arm is bionic, man. It's a new arm. So there's a lot that's been done to this right arm. I did everything the doctor said. I had the best recovery possible. I partnered with Elevate Health. I have a hyperbaric chamber upstairs in my gym. Partnered
Nice.
with cold plunge. I have a cold plunge outside. I mean, I do all the things. What I realize is it's not overtraining, it's under recovering. So now I'm doing equally as much time recovering as I am training. And I think that's some of the key ingredients that's allow me to surpass my previous best form.
Right on. Who is your favorite arm wrestler to watch?
I don't know. I honestly don't. Favorite arm wrestler to watch. I don't know. I mean, Frodo Hoagland is the guy who arm wrestled like me in my younger years a lot. Just crazy, ridiculous positions come back from. Daniel Propacek from Moldova, lightweight world champ. He winning from amazing positions. David Samusha, he's won 9 title defenses at East versus West and middleweight division, and every single one of them it looks like he's going to lose, and somehow he finds a way to win. I don't know, man. I love arm wrestling. When I watch arm wrestling, if you pause the match, I can tell you what each person has to do to win from those positions. It's just I'm
Hmm.
not a good teacher of arm. I'm actually probably pretty good, but I can't teach you to do what I do. I've just been
Sure.
doing it so long; it's instinctive. Like
Yeah.
the adjustments, the counters, everything, they just happen. I don't have to think about them.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I don't know if there is somebody that is my favorite person to watch, um, or who I like the most, or who I have the most respect for. Richard Lupke's was someone who I looked up to greatly because his power was just insane, and he's just such a good Christian man, loves his wife, so good role model there. But one of the biggest things for me was when I had reached the point where John Brzezinski and Ron Bath and those guys would call me and ask me for advice. When the guys I looked up to previously became
Yeah.
my peers, that's kind of at the point where you're just like, okay, I'm there.
Right. You are a very busy man, so I don't know if you even have time for a hobby other than arm wrestling and running the shop there. What do you do in your free time?
I like TV a lot.
Hang out, watch TV.
I'm the laziest fit athletic person you've ever met. If I'm not doing something, I'm most likely horizontal, right? We have 2 king size beds upstairs in our bedroom slammed together. Like I said, we got 3 dogs. We recently got a bingo cat, and then got the 5 grandbabies. Everybody just kind of piles up in there together. But man, I love to chill and relax. I love food, and I mean, even though I love food, and I'm being a super heavyweight doesn't mean I get to eat the food I want.
Right.
I get to eat once a week the food I want. The rest of the time, it's just high protein, high carb, moderate fat, healthy food to try to, like I said, I'm feeding my body for strength. Um, I love to compete. If it wasn't arm wrestling, it'd be something else.
Right.
Like there's still a part of me, like I would still do a celebrity boxing match right now, celebrity MMA match. If someone said, "Hey, you got 3 months, 4 months," I'm like, "Let's go." As
Let's
long as the
go.
paycheck is right, I'm doing it.
Sure.
Because I have that background already anyway. There's also a part of me that one day says, I'm just gonna be this ultra elite athlete, and I'm gonna go do a triathlon. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be doing that at 290 pounds like I am right now, but I love the training. But I'm also, this is the crazy thing. I'm 1 meal away from never eating right again, and 1 workout away from never working out again every day of my life. I'm
Gotcha.
6 months away from being a 500 to 600 pound bedridden person every single day I wake up. Now,
Now,
because
is that the truth, or
my
is that what
quit's
you tell
different. My quit's
yourself?
different. Like I don't, everything I do, I get back up, dust myself off, I'm back at it. Right. My quit,
Sure.
there is no in between. I'm all or nothing. I'm either going to keep pursuing the goal or I'm out.
Right.
And my quit is quit. Like I'm done. And
Done.
I haven't got there yet.
This just reminded me of something. You were talking about going on the unlimited calorie diet. Time wise,
Unrestricted calorie.
unrestricted,
I'm just not going
excuse
to
me.
restrict. Like unlimited, I'm not going to just force feed myself. I'm just, like I said, not
Sure.
going to go to bed hungry.
The start of that, how close did that coincide with the beginning of the baking and gardening?
It was a while back. Like that started, I mean, I was still cutting weight, making 253s My
Okay.
students killing it, and eating sourdough almost every day and eating everything else. I'm just, I make sure I get enough protein. Like I said, I cut carbs off in the evening, have high protein meals at night, and then go to bed hungry, And it wasn't that I didn't eat before I went to bed. I
Right.
just ate protein and I'm still hungry. You know what I mean? The only time I didn't go to bed hungry probably the last several years is when it was a cheat day. The rest of the time I went to bed hungry. Like that's just wake up hungry, go to bed hungry. You know what I mean? And even now I wake up and food's not ready because Rebecca's, she got to tend the garden. She's got to do this. She's got to do that. And so I told her this morning, I was like, hey, how about we just get me some like raisin bran and some milk and I'll drink a protein shake and I'll eat that as soon as I get up. Because you two is wake up and want to do fasted cardio because I want to have that lean, shredded body and whatever.
Mhm.
I do fasted cardio because you increase your fat burning by 200%, and then sauna, cold plunge, laps in the pool, and then I would eat. And now I'm like, dude, I got to eat. I take
Mhm.
MK677 at night, wake up in the morning hungry as shit. Like I got to eat.
Wow.
You know?
Um, what what can your fans do to keep up with you today? What social platforms are you on? What's the best way to reach you and interact?
Yeah, monstermichaeltodd.com is my hub, but I'm Monster Michael Todd, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. A lot of people message. I'm the guy who actually responds to messages on Instagram most of the time,
Hmm.
unless like some people send some stupid stuff, so I just don't respond. I read it, but then I
Sure.
delete them. And if people are disrespectful, I have no problem hide user from channel. You know what I mean? I don't have no problem blocking people. I don't need that negativity in my life. This is for me right now. This path is different than any I've ever taken. I've always had an intimate relationship with God. I've always had strong faith, but I really think that God gave me an opportunity this time and a platform to. I think people are following this comeback. I've already said it's going to be the greatest comeback in arm wrestling. My goal is lofty. It's to beat the unbeatable. It's to climb the top of the mountain. And the thing is, it's not going to be how awesome Michael Todd thing is. It's going to be how awesome God is. My job is to do the work. Everything else
Hmm.
is in His hands. So I just get out here every day and I do the work. And I'm seeing a lot of progress. And I feel like every time I'm holding my hand in victory and I'm giving Him praise and glory, just going to keep moving towards that goal. And people seeing America, especially, love to see a comeback. They want to hear an underdog story. But seeing something happen that a lot of the world thinks it's impossible, and then I'm saying I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's got to open up some eyes,
That's that inspiration we're looking for here on this channel.
right?
Um,
It's just
I
it's
don't.
just how it is, man. I mean, like I said, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have this opportunity. I'm blessed to have this healthy arm. I'm blessed that God gave me a will and desire to wake up every day and be better. Because I told you, like I'm 1 meal away and
Yeah.
one workout away from never doing it again. So I got
Hmm.
the devil on this side, I got God on this side. Um, but right now, it's bigger than me. It's more important than me. I lost my mother October 20th of last year. Was not something I've ever let myself even believe is a possibility because I'm here from the South and I was taught that the rapture was going to happen and we're all going to go together. So even at 50 years old, I never thought that I'd be on this earth without my mom. So when
Sure.
it happened, it was not a reality that I could deal with. It fractured my psyche. I wasn't okay. Um, Most severe depression. I never even understood depression. I said, just be happy. Just choose to be happy. I'd never experienced anything like that in my life to the point to where God put Rebecca in my life because He knew I wouldn't have made it through that without her. Right.
Hmm.
Um, then I went through ketamine treatment. Someone mentioned ketamine. I had a doctor who took very good care of me and let me found a way for me to be able to afford ketamine. Right. Went through 6 sessions there. Even had a follow up session right before my mother's birthday this year. And those, even in the ketamine treatments, I planned out this year's victories, and everything I said was going to happen has happened because I saw it. And like I
Hmm.
don't have fear. I don't have doubt. I have faith, and I know my mom's watching, and I know she's sitting right next to God watching, and she's following this journey.
Hmm.
I had my first match here. First match back internationally was April 20th. I had known it in the past, but I didn't realize until that day, about a few hours before my match, that it was 6 months from the day my mother passed. Right, and that match took on a whole different meaning. My wife said this first time she doesn't have to wait to hear what happened. She gets to watch it live, right? So yeah, this is way bigger than me. Um, but I'm telling you, God's got a plan, and it's a glorious plan.
Yes, sir. I agree with you 100%. I have one more question for you before I let you go to enjoy the rest of your evening. Um, if you could give one little message to anyone out there who's struggling with motivation, with inner strength, with any of the stuff that gets us all down every day, what's one little message you could share with them about continuing on and not giving up?
If you're a believer, you're disrespecting God by not being the best version of you can be. Every day I wake up and I don't try to be the best me I can be, I'm disrespecting the gift that God gave me, which is an opportunity to let my light shine, to show the world
Hmm.
that, hey, no matter what happens, no matter how many injuries that happen, no matter what happens in your life, you have an opportunity. We're still here. Now, we're not promised tomorrow. And that's really what it comes down to. We're not
Hmm.
promised tomorrow. So make the most out of the day. I mean, if you know tomorrow's not guaranteed,
Hmm.
what the hell's the point of sitting around moping today? What if this is
Yeah.
the last day? Make it a
Yeah.
great day. So what happens if you make every day great days, right? And you take that same approach, good things happen.
Hmm.
Accomplishing greatness and accomplishing, you know, the same approach it takes to being a multimillionaire, a world champion, or whatever it is, it's the same exact thing.
Hmm.
It's not having some goal out there with no way to get there. It's to set this goal here, reach this goal, set a new goal here, reach this. And you have enough of those days reaching those short term
Hmm.
goals, you don't
Yeah.
even notice when you're already here. You've already reached the top because your blinders on, your focus, no distractions, right? Devil's gonna play off your fears, gonna tell you it's not possible, gonna tell especially with social media today.
Yeah.
It's for some reason, man, that people just instead of celebrating your victories and like I want everyone to be successful.
Hmm.
I mean, rising tide raises all ships. Why do I want to? If I want arm wrestling to be great, I want everyone to have a successful platform. I want
Yeah.
everyone to be, and you see a lot of people out there so stingy and scared of losing this little bit that they have that they don't want to see others succeed.
Yeah.
Fine, doesn't matter what they want. God's got a plan.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just I mean, I've always just been that guy though. Like I've always been that guy that's just thought I was an optimistic dude, man. I just expected good things to happen to myself, and I
Right.
just work towards those goals. But those goals have to be real. They can't just be, I want this. Okay, cool. How are you
Yeah.
gonna get there? What do you got to do
Yeah.
first to get to that? What do you got to do
Hmm.
after that? What do you got to do after that? And once you've done those 100 things, now you're there.
Hmm.
But one foot in front of the other.
I thought of one more question while you were saying that. What can fans of the monster expect to see on the table in the upcoming future from you, sir?
Man, so that's the thing is I've let go a lot of the anger. You know, I was very angry after losing mom. Let go a lot of the anger. So you're still going to see the aggression. You're going to still see the passion. Um, but I'm not going to be angry. I'm just going to do my job. And like I said, it's different, man. It's different. I don't even have to worry about the outcome. I just know that if I'm in here every day like I'm supposed to be, like when I set my goals every day and I set my goals
Hmm.
10 weeks out, 9 weeks out, whatever, and I hit those goals every day, I mean, I cannot control what my opponent's doing. People are like, oh, you need to train this way. You need to train that. No, don't. Never did it before. I don't have to train for you. I can't
Hmm.
control what you're doing. I just got to be the
Right.
best me I can be. So if I bring the best me, I'm a guy who believes the best me beats the best you.
Yeah.
So let's go. That's it. You're going to see a very focused, determined, faith-based Monster Mako Todd in every match.
Smashing hands.
I mean, I will be aggressive. I can tell you that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, I don't have any more questions. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your time with the channel and with me. This is a huge honor. I have goosebumps right now. I wish you could see them. Very, very special moment, sir. Thank you very much.
Of course, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Um, Being an Arkansas guy, if I'm ever around Hot Springs, I may send you a message. If you're ever around Fayetteville, I hope you message me. I want to hook you up with some burnt ends.
I'm definitely down for some food. So yeah, I just told you how much I like it. So we'll make a trip up there eventually for sure.
Awesome. Thank you again, and I'll let you know when it uploads, sir.
Yes, sir. Take care. God bless.
Thank you. You too. God bless.